The Geet Ruler Episode Number 93 Explanation. The gigantic wooden divine guard towered over the interior of the giant hall, sending out waves of powerful pressure radiating out. This caused all the spiritual energy within the giant hall slow signs of freezing and turning sluggish. This wooden divine guard possessed an extremely powerful level of might. Ha ha ha, weren't you so strong just now, Mu Chen? Want to go for another round with my wooden divine guard? Zhen Qing cackled as he watched on. With the wooden divine guard on his side, he could finally relax. No matter how many more tricks Mu Chen had up his sleeves, there was absolutely no way he could turn the tables around. Furrowing his eyebrows, Mu Chen stared at the wooden divine guard. This latter's gigantic body appeared to be made of weathered wood, with rays of brilliance sparkling out of glowing patterns on the surface. The powerful energies radiating out from it caused prickling pain sensations to be felt on his skin. This was the response his body had in the face of danger. Clearly, this wooden divine guard possessed a frightening level of power that even his 4-rune lightning physique wasn't able to endure. The wooden divine guard before him might possess strength that was comparable to someone that have passed their spiritual energy disaster. Furthermore, according to what Zhen Qing had said, this still wasn't its full strength. The situation now had indeed become even more nasty than before. Next up, all of you can go and die, said Zhen Qing as he grinned towards Mu Chen and Luo Li, his face brimming with a sinister shade. In the next instant, with a change of his hand seal, the tree-leaf rune on the forehead of the wooden divine guard started to sparkle before the latter's gigantic body started to shoot forwards. Bringing forth a frightening level of power, its giant fist hurtled straight towards the two. With a shift of his body, a dragon shade seemed to surface at Mu Chen's feet. In a flash, he retreated back, with Luo Li similarly retreating back at rapid speeds. Bang! The fist of the wooden divine guard struck the ground, causing intense vibrations to rock through the entire giant hall. Gigantic fissures extended out across the ground akin to gigantic snakes, showing off its heart-palpitating destructive power. Whoosh! With its fist striking air, the glowing rune on its forehead sparkled once more. Instantly, its gigantic frame shot out immediately, appearing right before Mu Chen in a flash. Clearly, not only did it possess astonishing might, it also possessed a rather quick speed. Boom! The wooden divine guard sent yet another fist rumbling out, causing the air before it to completely explode apart. Seeing this, Mu Chen's expression changed slightly. With a fierce shake of the devouring dragon demonic spear in his hand, an ominous aura swept out as it transformed into a gigantic demonic dragon. Bringing forth surging ominous chi, it smashed head-on against the wooden divine guard. Bang! Energy shockwaves swept out like a hurricane, with the ground below Mu Chen's feet immediately collapsing apart. At this instant, Mu Chen's body was sent flying backwards. Transforming back into a long spear, the devouring dragon demonic spear landed back into his hand, while his sleeves were torn into shreds. As he did so, a sliver of blood dripped down from the corner of his mouth. Clearly, he had suffered some damage from the head-on collision with the wooden divine guard. The wooden divine guard's gigantic figure rushed straight towards Mu Chen once again, its weathered wood fist enveloping over him like a shadow. Swish! However, before the wooden divine guard could attack Mu Chen once again, a beautiful figure shot abruptly before him. In the next instant, an incomparably fierce sword aura current howled out, heading straight towards the head of the wooden divine guard. Sensing the incoming fierce sword aura current, the wooden divine guard suddenly came to a halt. Extending its gigantic palm out, it blocked itself against the sword aura current sweeping over, which left a deep fissure on its witherwood palm. Although it indeed possessed an extremely strong defense, Luo Li's Luotian sword clearly wasn't something that could be easily defended against. If Luo Li's cultivation realm was higher, she would be able to activate the truly power of this divine weapon of the Luo god clan. At that time, a single slash from it would be able to chop off the giant hand of this wooden divine guard. Mu Chen took this opportunity to retreat back. However, wrinkles started to form on his forehead, as the defense of this wooden divine guard was exceedingly strong. When faced against his and Luo Li's earlier attacks, it had always met them head-on with its own. However, this time, it had chose to defend against her attack. This might be due to the dread Zhen Qing had towards the Luotian sword. However, this might not be the entire reason. As his eyes sparkled, Mu Chen could not help but to rest his gaze on the tree leaf-like rune present on the forehead of the wooden divine guard. In the next instant, he shot a look from the corner of his eye towards Zhenqing. It seemed that every single time the hand seal of that fellow changes, the tree leaf on its forehead would sparkle and light up. That tree leaf rune was precisely the thing that Zhenqing and his group had snatched away from them. From the looks of it, it seems that this tree leaf rune just so happened to be able to allow for the control of this wooden divine guard. That's why Zhenqing didn't attempt to snatch away the immortal divine tree and rush straight towards that unassuming tree leaf rune. Fluttering down, Luo Li descended by Mu Chen's side. Shooting a look at him, she spoke out, "Are you all right?" Mu Chen replied a slight shake of his head. Fortunately, he had cultivated his lightning god's physique to a 4-rune lightning physique. If not, the fist sent out from the wooden divine guard would cause serious injuries towards any ordinary person who had passed their fleshly body tribulation. Ha ha. Looks like the two of you are unable to create any waves today. Looking towards Mu Chen and Luo, who were forced to retreat in succession by the wooden divine guard, Zhenqing could not help but to laugh out. Hearing those words, a chilling glow flashed faintly across Luo Li's eyes. Gripping her Luotian sword tightly, she spoke out with a voice tinged with chilling intent. "Isn't it too early to be happy? Do you truly believe that I won't be able to chop off the head of this block of wood?" A sliver of fury flashed across the exquisite face of the young girl. Having fought all out against Xie Hu earlier, Mu Chen's condition was naturally not good. The previous head-on collision with the wooden divine guard should have caused even more injuries for him. This caused her to feel her heart ache slightly, while also causing killing intent to gush out from within. As her voice rang out, astonishing sword cries erupted out from her Luotian sword while glowing lines seemed to extend all over the body of the sword. In the next instant, an incomparable feeling of sharpness radiated out quietly, causing even the surrounding space to tremble slightly. Sensing the sharp and fierce sword intent radiating out, Zhenqing's expression changed slightly, before giving a cold snort. Indeed, that divine sword's formidable. If Luo Li had passed her spiritual energy tribulation, then she might truly be able to be a threat towards the wooden divine guard. However, it's a pity that wasn't the case. "You're truly looking to die." With a sneer, Zhenqing changed his hand seal only for the wooden divine guard to shoot out yet again, displaying its terrifying attack once more. However, this time, as Zhenqing was moving the wooden divine guard, Mu Chen was able to clearly see that the tree leaf rune on its forehead had sparkled once again. With a chilling expression on her beautiful face, Luo Li started to undo the seal on the Luotian sword in an attempt to destroy this wooden divine guard. "Wait," said Mu Chen as he extended his hand to grab onto her. Although Luo Li's move was extremely powerful, it would lead to a gargantuan consumption of her strength upon displaying it. In this current situation, if they were to expend great effort to destroy this wooden divine guard, that would allow for Zhenqing and his group to have any easier time dealing with their exhausted selves. If that happens, the situation then would be even more dire. You just need to help reduce the impact of the wooden divine guard's attack. "Leave the rest to me," said Mu Chen said in a soft voice. Hearing that, Luo Li shot a doubtful look at Mu Chen, clearly not too sure what the latter was planning on doing. However, due to her trust in him, after a slight moment of hesitation, she nodded her head and replied, "Be careful. If you're injured again, I'll immediately take action." Her voice sounded resolute and decisive. Clearly, there wasn't too much leeway for discussion. Seeing that, Mu Chen laughed out. Being unable to stop himself, he extended his hand to touch the exquisite face of the young girl before him while saying with a smile, "I know. My Luo Li's the Queen Luo of the spiritual road." Overbearing as ever. Seeing that Mu Chen still had the heart to tease her in such a situation, Luo Li could not help but to shoot an unhappy glare at him. Yet, her glare appeared as soft and gentle as the streams flowing in spring. "You two still have the heart to flirt now, huh?" With a sinister smile, Zhenqing changed his hand seal, sending the gigantic figure of the wooden divine guard to cast its shadow over Mu Chen and Luo Li as it shot towards them. While that happened, frightening energies swept out from it like a storm. Bang! Bang! As a storm whipped up within the giant hall, akin to a god of destruction, the wooden divine guard wreaked havoc everywhere it went. Compared to it, Mu Chen and Luo Li appeared like flies trapped in a corner, displaying various kinds of miraculous movement techniques to continuously evade its attacks. At the same time, attacks erupted out from them, leaving scar after scar on the body of the wooden divine guard. Tang Maya and the rest watched with bated breath at the intense battle taking place within the giant hall, their eyes brimming with worry. Zhenqing sneered as he observed the scene before him, not being impatient at all. On the contrary, he appeared exceedingly calm and leisurely. Regardless of what move Mu Chen and Luo Li employed, they were humans and would become tired and exhausted. Comparatively, the wooden divine guard wouldn't and would be able to complete his orders perfectly, which was to completely destroy and kill Mu Chen and Luo Li. Furthermore, Mu Chen and Luo Li clearly weren't able to compete with the wooden divine guard on the consumption of energy. Once they've completely depleted their spiritual energies, he would be able to easily get rid of them with a single finger of his. Now, he only had to treat this as a game, with the ending being grasped in his hands. Boom! All of a sudden, the giant fist came enveloping over Mu Chen. However, before it could come into contact with him, a beautiful figure appeared right before him. Rays of sword aura currents gushed out, completely defending against the terrifying fist winds. At the instant when Luo Li had defended against the incoming attack, Mu Chen's figure had abruptly shot out. As a dragon shade surfaced beneath his feet, it started to coil up. As it extended out, it appeared to pierce through space, with Mu Chen's figure rushing straight towards the head of the wooden divine guard akin to a spectre. Bang! However, at the instant when Mu Chen's figure had shot out, it seemed as though the wooden divine guard had also sensed it. Instantly open its giant mouth open akin to giving a roar, a frightening spiritual energy shockwave exploded out from within like a beam, instantly shrouding over Mu Chen. Hum! As the beam struck Mu Chen's body, a shiver shook through him as black rays of light blossomed out from his body. In the next instant, a gigantic black pagoda appeared in a flash, protecting his body within it. Ding! A metallic sound rang out within the giant hall akin to a bell. As the black glowing pagoda dissipated away, Mu Chen's figure appeared right before the forehead of the wooden divine guard. With a clench of his hand, a piece of black paper surfaced on his palm, while mysterious energies started to flow out from it. Bang! Seemingly discovering some kind of threat towards itself, the wooden divine guard immediately ignored the attacks coming from Luo Li. Like the peak of a mountain, its giant fist howled out, bringing along frightening power as it exploded the air apart, causing even the surrounding space to wrap and distort slightly. As the shadow of the fist came enveloping over, Mu Chen showed not the slightest bit of wanting to retreat. On the contrary, under the shocked cries of Tang Maya and the rest, he continued with his rush. "You're looking to die?" Zhenqing sneered malevolently. Boom! Finally, the giant fist smashed heavily on Mu Chen's body. As the frightening energy shockwave blossomed out, the latter's body shot out like a cannonball. Finally, striking against a giant pillar, it caused giant fissures to appear on its surface. Nevertheless, at the instant when the wooden divine guard had struck Mu Chen, his palm had lightly patted on the rune sparkling with light on its forehead. Mu Chen was sent hurtling like a giant stone by the fist of the divine wood guard. Heavily impacting the ground caved and collapsed, sending fissures extending in all directions. He created a 100+ meter long gorge in the ground, before finally being able to miserably stabilize himself. Puff! Blood spurted out from Mu Chen's mouth as his face turned paled. He had suffered quite a thorough blow from that punch. If not for him cultivating the lightning god's physique, he might not be able to keep his little life. Luo Li's beautiful face changed due to the scene before her. With a shift of her body, she appeared beside Mu Chen. Noticing the injuries that he had suffered, which weren't light, she said in haste, "You all right? Why didn't you evade?" Although the Divine Wood Guard's attack was powerful, if Mu Chen wanted to evade, such an attack would clearly not be able to successfully land on him. TSK. Looks like your condition's getting worse and worse, said Zhenqing in a mocking tone as he grinned towards the injured Mu Chen. Wiping away the bloodstains at the corner of his mouth, Mu Chen raised his head, sending back a smile towards Zhenqing. The smile he sent back also contained the presence of ridicule. With a laugh, he said, "Didn't I explain to you the meaning of losing oneself in joy? Now, would you please try to activate this Divine Wood Guard once more? Hearing those words, Zhen Qing's face instantly sunk as he rapidly changed his hand seal. However, his expression completely sunk down in the next moment, since he found out that he was unexpectedly unable to have any result in his activation of the Divine Wood Guard. It stood there, right in the middle of the giant hall, not having the slightest bit of response to his control. Bastard! What have you done to my Divine Wood Guard? Roared Zhen Qing fiercely as his eyelids rapidly twitched. Giving an indifferent laugh, Mu Chen replied, nothing much. I've simply just sealed the symbol you've used to control the Divine Wood Guard, that's all. Hearing those words from Mu Chen, Zhen Qing hastily turned his gaze towards the Divine Wood Guard. Indeed, black rays of light had surfaced on the tree leaf rune present on the forehead of the Divine Wood Guard. As those black rays of light weaved and intertwined with each other, they appeared to have formed some kind of seal that was actually able to completely seal up the tree leaf rune. As such, it had also severed the control Zhen Qing had over the Divine Wood Guard. At this moment, Zhen Qing's expression turned exceedingly ugly. He never imagined in his wildest dreams that Mu Chen's sight would be that astute and sharp, being able to spot and identify the tree leaf rune he was using to control the Divine Wood Guard. Furthermore, this fellow actually knew how to create a seal. Zhen Qing was able to sense that the sealing energies used by Mu Chen were exceedingly strange and mysterious, being able to completely sever his seal from the Divine Wood Guard and even his connection to his rune. As of now, this Divine Wood Guard seemed to have completely no relationship with him. His greatest trump card had actually been dealt with in such an obscure and unclear fashion. Zhen Qing was so mad, he started to shake and shiver, while anger and fury rose from his heart. From the looks of it, he appeared to be unable to wait to tear Mu Chen into shreds. Observing this scene, while being trapped in the vines, Tang Maya, Zhu Yuan, Xu Huang and the rest breathed a huge sigh of relief. The greatest card Zhen Qing and his group could rely on was that Divine Wood Guard. As of now, with it being dealt with by Mu Chen, the combat strength of Zhen Qing and his group had now drastically decreased. At this moment, Luo Li finally understood why Mu Chen would risk so much to take a head-on blow by the Divine Wood Guard and not evade it. Nevertheless, she still shot an unhappy glare towards Mu Chen while saying, "You always know how to mess around." With a smile, Mu Chen extended his hand and grabbed onto Luo Li's tender and white hands. His face still appeared slightly pale. True, he had suffered quite the serious injury from the great battle with Xie Hu earlier, along with the intense fight with the Divine Wood Guard. Therefore, his current state was clearly rather bad, something he felt slightly helpless about. Although he had quite a few other cards up his sleeves, his cultivation was only at the realm of heavenly completion stage late phase. Regardless of him possessing a combat prowess that far exceeded the outer appearance of his strength, as this great spiritual academy tournament continued on, the opponents they would encounter would become increasingly powerful. Furthermore, as of now, they had already been placed within the top 16 on the ranking list. Upon leaving this remnant, their location would be exposed. At that time, they would encounter quite a few people wanting to contest them for the points they held. When that happened, there would be more intense fights than the ones they had just experienced. Therefore, with his cultivation realm of heavenly completion stage late phase, it had clearly started to become increasingly difficult for him. After all, he couldn't just expend all of his energy like now every single time he bumped into an expert of spiritual energy disaster. If that happened, it would be sooner or later that such an opportunity would be grasped by those opponents covetously eyeing them. Looks like I have to make a breakthrough. Mu Chemistry muttered, tightly clenching his fists. Not only Xu Huang, Zhao Qingshan and Mu Fengyang needed to make a breakthrough, even he needed to increase his strength. If not, would them saying that they would enter the final match be just an empty dream? Luo Li lightly grasped Mu Chen's hand, before raising her lovable face. At this moment, however, raising her lovable head, chill surfaced in her eyes as she looked towards the furious Zhen Qing, before saying in a soft voice, "There's no need for you to participate in the upcoming fight. I'll deal with them." Hearing her words, Mu Chen immediately made a slight gasp. Although they had already dealt with the Divine Wood Guard, their opponents were of a greater number than them. Furthermore, Zhen Qing himself wasn't someone easy to deal with, being no weaker than Xie Hu. Added with his group members, many of which had passed their human body disaster, their lineup wasn't weak. Yet, Luo Li wanted to deal with all of them by herself. "It's best that we do it together. Don't you know that it'll hurt me to see you get the slightest bit of injury?" replied Mu Chen with a bitter laugh. "I just love you too dearly," replied Luo Li with a grin, a faint pinkish blush appearing on her exquisite and porcelainsk face. Clearly, with her gentle and quiet demeanor, it was still extremely rare for her to say such words to Mu Chen. "Who's the one always causing trouble? This is your punishment." Extending her hand, Luo Li gently rubbed Mu Chen's face. With a faint smile, she gave a lovely blink of her bright and clear eyes, before saying, "Be obedient. I'll protect you." Faced against the current Luo Li, who had suddenly radiated with an aura of regality, Mu Chen couldn't help turning his nose. Feeling a wee bit of weakness, he could only shrug in helplessness while replying, "Be careful." Gently nodding, Luo Li replied with a faint smile. "Relax. I'll be very quick." Hearing her words, Mu Chen gave a grin. At this moment, although Luo Li had yet to become the queen of the Luo god clan, she seemed to have already started to reveal an aura of regality. It was merely that she didn't quite like to show herself in the limelight while she was beside him. However, in this current situation, where Mu Chen has gotten injured time after time, it seemed that the future queen of the Luo god clan had gotten somewhat angry, causing her to no longer conceal herself anymore. Standing up, Luo Li grasped her Luo god sword. At this moment, her exquisite face, which had just shown a smile towards Mu Chen, was now covered with frost as she shot a chilling gaze towards Shenqing. "Ha ha! What's the matter? Do you want to deal with all of us by yourself?" In his moment of rage, Shenqing coldly snorted as he looked towards Luo Li. Choosing not to reply, Luo Li continued grasping her Luo god sword as she slowly raised it up. The Luo god sword vibrated and hummed, while astonishingly fierce sword intent radiated from it. This sword intent that radiated from it appeared as if it wanted to pierce through the heavens and the earth. Sensing this sword intent, Shenqing's expression turned slightly cold as he turned his gaze around. Looking towards the remaining 4 members of the group from the Saint Spiritual Academy, he spoke out in a deep voice. "Take action with us and defeat her. That way, you guys can also take your revenge. At that time, we'll split the points and the treasures of this place equally with you guys. How's that?" Although Xie, who was not seriously injured with his life or death unknown, the remaining 4 members of the Saint Spiritual Academy group were still quite powerful. At this moment, being able to pull them over to his side would be beneficial to deal with Luo Li. Hearing Shenqing's words, the eyes of the 4 instantly sparkled, before clenching their teeth. Although they were extremely shocked by the performance of Mu Chen, at this very moment, the latter's condition was extremely poor. As long as they could collaborate and deal with Luo Li, they could take whatever revenge they wanted. Whoosh! With a shift of their bodies, the 4 immediately appeared behind Luo Li, forming an encirclement with Shenqing's group. In the next instant, boundless spiritual energies gushed from them, creating an extremely powerful spiritual energy pressure on her. HMPH. Even if you have the aid of your divine artifact, I don't believe that you'll be able to defeat that many by yourself. Shenqing sneered. They had a total of 9 people on their side, with at least half having passed their human body disaster. Added with him, who had passed his spiritual energy disaster, how would Luo Li be able to defeat all of them by herself? Shooting an indifferent look back at him, Luo Li still did not give any reply. On the contrary, she started to slowly close her eyes. As this happened, bloodline patterns started to seep out from the hand in which she held the Luo god sword. As those bloodlines flowed down onto her Luo god sword, they formed a blood-red sword rune. Bang! Suddenly, a frightening wave of sword aura erupted from the Luo god sword. As it did so, it gave off a feeling as if a frightening beast was starting to slowly wake up from its seal. Take action! Sensing the sword aura radiating out, Shenqing's face contorted as he decisively roared. Bang! As his roar rang out, the 9 people took action seemingly at the same time. Attacks filled with boundless spiritual energies swept out, hiding the skies and covering the earth as they enveloped over Luo Li. With her eyes still tightly shut, a shiver shook through the hand grasping onto the Luo god sword. In the next instant, frightening sword aura swept out, enveloping around her body akin to a hurricane. Upon coming into contact with the sword aura hurricane, those incoming attacks were instantly shattered into nihility with overbearing force. As the blood-red sword rune on her Luo god sword grew increasingly radiant, a sliver of paleness appeared on the exquisite face of Luo Li. Hum. Hum. A low and rapid hum rang out from the Luo god sword. Suddenly, in the next instant, Luo Li's eyes sprung open. With a wave of her hand, the sword aura shot out. Akin to a dragon leaving its den, it left radiant sword scars in the space around its path. As the rays of sword scars intertwined with each other, sword aura instantly burst forth from them. As rays of brilliance sparkled out, a gigantic sword lotus, approximately 100 meters wide, rapidly took form before Luo Li. This sword lotus appeared exceedingly beautiful. Yet, under its beauty, it contained energies that seemed to be able to destroy anything in its path. The Luo god sword shook, before the sword lotus rose into the air. In the next instant, dazzling rays of brilliance radiated throughout every corner of the giant hall. As the rays of brilliance radiated out, Luo Li's sweet-sounding voice rang indifferently around akin to a quiet spring gushing from the mountain top. The bright and clear heart of the sword, lotus of the Luo god sword. The radiant sword lotus rose from Luo Li's front before hovering in the air, its penetrating rays of brilliance lighting every single corner of the giant hall. However, those rays of brilliance didn't give people a feeling of warmth. On the contrary, it caused thick feelings of chilling intent to fill the bodies of everyone. At this moment, everyone could sense an extremely frightening and fierce sword intent present within those rays of brilliance, appearing as they were able to shatter the skies and rend the earth. Observing this spectacle unfolding before him, Mu Chen's expression also turned slightly cold. Even could feel his body turning cold in the presence of the sword intent present within the sword lotus. At this moment, the faces of Zhen Qing and his groups appeared exceedingly solemn, with their gazes appearing to be overwhelmed with shock. That's because they could feel a thick flavor of death from the beautiful sword lotus hovering above them. Without any plan to give them any chance to warm up, Luo Li had immediately unleashed her true killing move upon taking action. Faced against their contorted expressions, Luo Li's beautiful face still appeared ice-cold as she extended her slender finger out to give a light tap in the space before her. Hum. The sword lotus trembled once again, before started to slowly unfurl its petals. In the next instant, sword aura that blotted the skies swept out, only for 10 sword lotus petals to abruptly shoot out explosively. Appearing exceedingly beautiful, irresistible sharpness brimmed under their beauty. Swish swish. As the lotus petals shot through space, faint scars appeared as the surrounding space was sliced apart by them. Dark and bottomless sword fissures were slashed on the ground below by the sword aura gushing out. Akin to 10 divine swords streaking out, the 10 beautiful sword lotus petals rushed straight towards Zhen Qing and the other 9 guys. Seeing the incoming sword lotus petals, the eyes of Zhen Qing and the 9 guys instantly contracted. Before the attacks had arrived before them, their skin had already started to feeling piercing pain. It was hard to imagine exactly how frightening the sword intent contained with those petals was. Use all your strength, roared Zhen Qing. Bang! With an explosive roar, boundless spiritual energy gushed out from his body like a tidal wave, with the other 9 summoning forth all of their spiritual energies in fear, not hesitating one single bit to execute their strongest and most powerful moves. At this moment, if they were to hold back any single bit, they would undoubtedly be killed. That sword lotus was too frightening. Wooden divine spear. Fist of the holy light. Fierce roars rang out in succession as surging spiritual energies rushed forth, followed by astonishingly mighty attacks. With a solemn expression on his face, boundless spiritual energy swept out abruptly as he sent a pat out. As rays of brilliance sparkled out, it transformed into what seemed like a deep greenish pine-like giant hand. Glowing patterns covered its entirety, with this spiritual energy surging around it like a sea, giving people an extremely intense feeling of pressure. Clearly, he had also used his genuine killing move too. Heavenly Pine Divine Palm. Bang! Under everyone's attentive gaze, mighty attacks swept out, smashing head-on against the incoming lotus petals in an instant. Faced against those incoming attacks, Luo Li's clear and beautiful eyes still appeared cool and calm, with merely a sliver of a chilling glow surfacing within them. In the next instant, extending her slender finger out, she gave a gentle tap out, with space before her appearing to split apart. Swish swish. As the attacks from both sides collided, contrary to people's expectations, no astonishing eruptions took place. Although it appeared weak and frail, the beautiful lotus petals appeared akin to the edges of a divine sword, being indescribably sharp. As the petals shot by, the boundless spiritual energy attacks hurtling towards them were instantly sliced apart. Their attacks were simply unable to provide even the slightest obstruction against the sword lotus petals. At this moment, the members of the two groups were completely overwhelmed with shock, while indescribable fear gushed out from their hearts. Never did they expected that this killing move from Luo Li would actually be that strong to the point that their full strength was still unable to allow for them to put up one bit of resistance. Whoosh! While they were overwhelmed with shock, the lotus petals had already shot through space, nearing their bodies with a whoosh. As chilling air enveloped over them, their faces were blanketed with a deathly pale shade as they hastily attempted to escape. However, it was evidently too late, as the flower petals had shot over at lightning speeds, bringing along with it sword-like incisive sharpness. Instantly, blood spurted out in every direction. 9 figures instantly turned stiff as blood gushed out from their arms. 9 arms shot towards the sky, their severed locations appearing as smooth as glass. Shrill shrieks of misery rang out as the 9 figures landed down, crying out from the pain of their severed limbs, while their powerful spiritual energies rapidly dropped and declined. Blood continued to flow out from their severed stumps. Clearly, the fierce sword intent had penetrated through their bodies. Regardless of how they activated their spiritual energies, they were unable to get rid of it. Hearing those miserable shrieks, not a single sign of waver was present on Luo Li's face. Looking before her, she noticed that the sword lotus petal present there did not achieve her desired effect, as it was being temporarily obstructed by Zhenqing's attack. All in all, Zhenqing had passed through his spiritual energy disaster. Therefore, he was indeed much stronger than the other 9 people. Nevertheless, although Zhenqing was able to temporarily obstruct one sword lotus petal, he had clearly expended all of his strength doing so. At this moment, there were even droplets of sweat flowing out of his forehead. The frightening sword intent present in the lotus had pierced his body to the point of causing his spiritual energy to show signs of instability. Damn it! Zhenqing growled between his clenched teeth. As those miserable shrieks entered his ears, a shiver shook through his heart and mind. Never did he imagine that Luo Li's attack would actually be that terrifying. Such an attack might even be no inferior than the attack Mu Chen used to strike down Xie Hu. Merely, Mu Chen's attack was a focused single-target attack, whilst Luo Li's attack was able to deal with multiple opponents. Indeed, you're worthy of being one that had passed his spiritual energy disaster, said Luo Li in an indifferent tone as she shot a look at Zhenqing below with her beautiful eyes. In the next moment, the Luo god sword grasped in her hand shook. Hum hum. Sword cries rang out, before the sword lotus petals that had disabled those 9 people shot back towards her. In the next instant, they shot back out at lightning speeds, shooting straight at Xie Hu in an encirclement formation. Such a spectacle instantly caused Zhenqing's soul to leave his body in fright. Just blocking a single petal from the sword lotus was already that demanding to him. Now, there were 9 more incoming. Although the energies within those 9 incoming petals had been substantially consumed due to their attacks on the 9 people, it was more than sufficient to slice him to death. Bastard! Clenching his teeth, Zhenqing smashed his palm fiercely on the ground, sending blackish-green spiritual energy to sweep out, before unexpectedly pouring into the giant hall. Bang! At this instant, the surrounding giant pillars started to shake and squirm, before vines hid the skies and covered the earth as they shot out from within. As they did so, they formed layer after layer around Zhenqing's body like a protective shield. Bang! Bang! Shooting out ferociously, the sword lotus petals smashed into the layers of vines, sending them collapsing apart while shooting wooden splinters in all directions. Since I'm unable to get them, you guys will too. I'll never leave the treasures here for you, roared Zhenqing with a contorted expression displayed on his face. From the looks of it, he had completely lost all of his methods to deal with Luo Li's powerful attack. Therefore, the treasures present in this remnant would never end up in his hands. Bang! A malevolent shade flashed within Ching's eyes. With a fierce change of his hand seal, numerous blackish-green rays of brilliance shot out from him, shoot straight towards the towering giant pillars within the giant hall. Hum! All of a sudden, ancient tree-like symbols appeared on the surface of the giant pillars. Appearing exceeding radiant, those tree-like symbols seemed to be alive, as incomparably berserk spiritual energy fluctuations swept out from them. In the next instant, fissures started to appear on their surface, before rapidly extending out. Bang! The tree-like symbols grew increasingly radiantly. In the next instant, those giant pillars that were propping up the giant hall finally exploded completely apart. Frightening spiritual energy shockwaves wreaked havoc within the giant hall akin to a hurricane. At this moment, the vines that had trapped Tang Maya, Ju Yuan, and the rest were smashed into bits. However, upon them extricating themselves, all of them were sent spewing out mouthfuls of blood as their bodies were swept up by the berserk hurricane present. As this went on, the giant hall appeared to have entered a state of collapse as the surrounding space warped and distorted. As spatial fissures were torn open by the shockwaves radiating out, they proceeded to devour the bodies of Tang Maya and the rest. It seemed like Ching had activated the self-destruct function of this giant hall. Ha ha! All of you are about to banished from here? Remember this matter isn't over. Next time, I'll repay this debt back with your blood, growled Ching malevolently. The situation when seemed to be fully in his control had turned out into this due to the interference of Mu Chen and Luo Li. How could he not be angry and furious? With a fierce laugh, he waved his sleeve, sending vines shooting out. As they wrapped around his four other teammates, his figure shot backwards, retreating into a spatial fissure. As for Xie Hu and his group, Ching clearly didn't have any mood to take any care about them. Being slightly shocked by the unexpected change of events that had happened before his eyes, Mu Chen shot forwards, moving by Luo Li's side. At this moment, Xu Huang, Zhao Qingshan, and Mu Fengyang had extricated themselves from the hurricane, rushing over as soon as they did. What should we do? It seems like this place is about to collapse, asked Xu Huang in an urgent manner. Hearing that, wrinkles formed on Mu Chen's forehead as he turned his gaze towards the wooden divine guard within the giant hall that had been sealed by him. Clearly, that wooden divine guard was the true treasure of this giant hall. Having spent quite a bit of effort in here, he absolutely would not come off this empty-handedly. Bring it away. Mu Chen made a decisive verdict as he roared out in reply. Shooting forwards, he appeared before the wooden divine guard. Grabbing onto it, he attempted to keep it into his storage bracelet, but discovered he was unable to succeed. Damn it! Mu Chen cursed in response. Looking towards the rapidly expanding spatial fissures around him, he gave a stomp, immediately activating his lightning god's physique. In the next instant, he grabbed hold of the wooden divine guard's giant arm. From the looks of it, it appeared as though he wanted to take it away. Creak! The weight of this wooden divine guard rivaled a mountain peak. Even with him activating his lightning god's physique, Mu Chen was viciously pressed down by its weight, causing beads of sweat to surface on his forehead. Swish! Seeing this, Luo Li, Xu Huang and the rest rapidly shot over. Extending their hands to grab hold onto the wooden divine guard, they revolved their spiritual energy and assisted Mu Chen in hoisting the gigantic wooden divine guard up. Let's go! Be careful! As the five of them held onto the wooden divine guard, Mu Chen sent a grin towards the other four before taking the lead to head towards a spatial fissure. Whoosh! The five rushed along with the wooden divine guard in tow. Eyeing the berserk spiritual energy fluctuations wreaking havoc in the giant hall, they rushed into a spatial fissure, rapidly disappearing from everyone's sight. Bang! Bang! As Mu Chen and his group disappeared within a spatial fissure, the giant hall finally reached its limits, completely collapsing apart. As the spiritual energy hurricane wreaked havoc in all directions, the giant hall completely disappeared into thin air. This episode ends here. Thank you for watching.